Welcome to the Being Curious Show. I'm Brian Mariani, founder of No Shift Own.
And I'm Kelly Wagner, publisher of Edge Magazine. Our show is about curiously connecting teachers and seekers on a wide range of topics in a safe space. Few topics will be off limits, and we have some amazing guests to share with you.
Our intention is that our conversations will spark your own curiosity to create a life that lights you up and inspires you to be kind, thoughtful, open-minded to yourself and others.
We are on AM 950, Sundays at 2 p.m. and all podcast platforms. So, Brian, what are you curious about today?
Oh, we're doing some exciting stuff, Kelly.
We've got
a new format that we're trying out, and we're excited. I mean, we have some amazing interviews that we did.
We are, and we are so, I don't want to say blessed or amazing because those are the words that I'm always saying, but as we're booking out and actually coming into studio on off days because we have so many people that are resonating with us, what we're trying to do with our new format is potentially ongoing, if the audience resonates with this, is put two different interviews into one show. What do you think about that?
I mean, we tried it, and it was, oh my gosh, we got so much in both of those interviews. Yes, it flew by, but we were so kind of focused in. I thought we got a lot. I mean, we'll see what everyone else thinks, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I did too. And 20 minutes just goes by super fast. Okay, so the first interview everyone's going to hear today is with Jovanaka Ciares, and that was Reclaiming Wellness. And this book highlights the multicultural roots of a wide variety of popular health trends and shares them to promote solidarity and exclusivity. What did you think about that interview, Brian?
Well, that was right in my wheelhouse of what I love to talk about. So it was, I don't even remember much of what was said because I was just kind of in flow.
You were in flow.
She was amazing. She knew so much, and I just loved how she had such a personal experience that drove her to become a professional in that field. So I resonated with that a lot, and I felt like she was someone a lot of people could relate to. So I felt like we were able to expose that quickly and give her a lot of room to talk about who she is and why she does what she does. And I thought she did an amazing job.
Absolutely. And I can't wait to have her back. The next interview you guys are going to hear, Brian was tripping the wild fantastic. So we had co-host Elizabeth Sullivan, and this was with JD Slajchert with Darling, You're Not Alone. And it was just a really, really powerful interview. And again, another one that I want to have back. So you guys, enjoy our new format. Please give us feedback. And we're really excited to share these two interviews with you. It's Kelly and Brian, AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. And here we go.
I am super curious today, Kelly. We have an amazing guest. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to take a deep dive into a lot of health stuff, which is my background, so I'm super excited. So who do we have today?
Okay. Is it Jovanaka? Because I'm telling you, Jovanaka, I said it right. I normally can get Smith wrong, but right? Okay, and is it Ciares?
Yes, that's exactly
Oh my
right.
gosh. Okay, Jovanaka Ciares.
Awesome.
Okay, you guys, this is fun. I'm going to read her bio because this is a really fun one. She is the author of Reclaiming Wellness. And by the way, hold on for Facebook people. I have the book right here. Okay. And several other titles. A certified wellness expert, integrative herbalist, nutrition educator, and coach. She offers lectures and workshops in Spanish and English. Oh, you sound really smart. She studied nutrition with best-selling author T. Colin Campbell, PhD, at his Center for Nutrition Studies in partnership with Cornell University, and herbalism, plant medicine with, is it Tiracana Low Dog?
Tirona Low Dog.
I knew I was going to screw something up. A native of Puerto Rico, she lives in Los Angeles, and her website is Jovanka Ciares.com. Wow. I just want to jump in about the plant medicine, but we're going to slow down and we're going to let that roll into our 20 minutes together. Welcome to the Being Curious Show with Kelly and Brian and Kelly, and we're all here together.
Thank you so much for having me. Looking forward to it.
Our pleasure.
Thank you for being here, Jovanaka. So one of our first questions, just to help people kind of get in gear with you, we don't like to just dive right in on all the specifics around health that we know that you know, but what was one of those kind of first experiences that you had maybe in childhood or late teen years where you could now reflect back and go, oh, that experience led me to do what I do today? In other words, give us an idea of, maybe that first experience that took you on this path.
This is something that I have talked quite a bit about in the last few months, and it's this idea that you tend to take for granted things in your childhood that once you become an adult and a little bit more mature, emotionally mature, you start to realize the beauty of some of these childhood experiences. Growing up in Puerto Rico in the tropics, I was really close to the ocean, really close to the rainforest. We lived literally 20 minutes away from either. Eating home-cooked meals, eating from the trees, the neighbor's mango tree and our own lemon and cherry trees. You tend to take that for granted. And as I moved away from Puerto Rico and eventually moved to New York City, I moved away from that because that's just stuff that not cool people do, right? Like the cool people eat the way that people in New York City eat, which is not the healthiest of diets. And now in hindsight, I realize how great and amazing, foundation
you were given
with the foods and the standard of living that I grew up with.
I was blessed to go spend some time with my aunt down in Scottsdale area last, I think, winter. And this home had lime trees and lemon trees and grapefruit and orange. It had all these beautiful fruit, just bounty. And I was able to every morning go and grab a little this and that. And I would infuse it throughout our beverages throughout the day. And it was so magical. Now, the place was great, but I had more fun with the fruit trees every morning. Yeah. So to be able to have that as your foundation and then move to New York, woo, that's a difference.
Well, and the wild thing, and you can probably speak to this specifically, but what was that like for your body to have that foundation of all those locally sourced, probably organic or as close as maybe even beyond organic,
better,
because it was better than what you'd get at Whole Foods, right?
It's definitely. I'm sorry.
No. I was just going to say, describe maybe what actually happened in your body going from that foundation to this totally new diet that wasn't serving you.
Yeah, one of my friends used to call it the smackdown, and that's why I still call it, because it was literally my body smacked me down and told me, I'm doing this for you so that you don't end up with a life-threatening disease 30 years from now. Wow. So I ended up with ulcers, endometriosis, fibroids, IBS, and Western medicine didn't have any solutions. And so they're considered non-curable by Western medicine standards. And that's when I realized I can't be this 20-something-year-old woman in pain and discomfort for the rest of my life.
No.
So I decided to remember what my grandmother used to tell me. Like, are you cooking meals? What are you eating for breakfast? Sneakers are not a meal. So I went back to my ancestry. I honored what my grandmother and my mother taught me and reclaimed some of the foods and the practices that I grew up with.
Wow. Huge. So this kind of, I think, is a perfect segue into not just an idea that, plants are medicine or foods are medicine. I mean, it's not just about eating the right foods, but these plants, these foods can actually be, a much better alternative than medicine, even though all this like science and billions of dollars go into creating these medications. a lot of the answers are actually, grown from the earth. So I know you have tremendous expertise in this area. And for everyone out there, especially the past couple of years, for obvious reasons, health is a major issue in a lot of people's lives. And maybe describe those things that you've found in your career that, you can with confidence say there are alternatives. In fact, there are probably better alternatives than I think a lot of people know about.
Yeah, that's exactly right. From my own personal experience of finding alternatives to my healing journey, what I learned not only became a passion, but became my life's work, because I realized that this information is not easily available to a lot of us. But if we dig not very deep, if we dig into our own ancestry, chances are there's somebody in your family that was that crazy cuckoo aunt or great aunt that used to grow things in the backyard or used to make concoctions in their kitchen. And this is the kind of stuff that traditionally has been keeping us healthy and well for many, many generations. And when we moved from whatever part of the world we came from into these Western countries, we took all of this knowledge with us. So plants especially, food is really, really critical, right? You can't out-exercise a bad diet. You can't outlive a bad diet and lifestyle. But when it comes to plant medicine, herbalism, in other parts of the world, it's known as Ayurveda or traditional Chinese medicine, but it's all pretty much the same thing. It's this idea that we can take compounds on these botanicals and turn them into things that can help us either reverse certain symptoms, potentially in some cases even heal certain diseases. And the vast majority of what we know today as pharmaceuticals also stem from some of these plants. So it's not about, negating what modern science has to offer, because it has a lot of great things to offer, but also recognizing that it's not the only path and that we can actually marry the two and have them complement each other so that we can stay healthy or become healthy if we are not necessarily so.
Well, I think that's a really great, the way that you framed that was really empowering for people that this might be kind of new information for, because it's not to discount all of modern Western medicine, right? Emergency care and all of these exceptional things that we have today that have our lifespans increasing and increasing. But with the increasing, I think a major factor is quality of life. Mm-hmm. So even though we might be living an extra 10 years, what about the quality? And I think there's some major arguments to be made there that you probably have something to say about.
I think that's something that I mention every single day to at least one or two clients every single day. The goal is not to live until 80 just for the sake of living until 80. We want to live in as much energy, vibration, and health as we possibly can. And we cannot do that unless we change our lifestyle away from the diet, the sad diet, right? That standard American diet that we're consuming every day and that we continue to believe that is the right way of living, into incorporating more living foods, more foods with enzymes, managing our stress, managing some of the symptoms that are symptomatic of our today's society: loneliness, excessive amounts of anger. How are we taking care of our children, our teenagers, our young adults? How do we take care of each other, to our partners, to our children, to our family, in order to live the best possible way?
Well, I love that in your book, Reclaiming Wellness, you talk about the context of wellness practices, and it's from herbalism, meditation, visualization, hypnosis, yoga, plant-based eating, sound healing. And I opened up to page 71 in the book, and it talks about plant protein versus animal protein, right? I just got back from a retreat in Arkansas, and one of the guides was really promoting a plant-based diet. I'm not there yet, but I've really been unpacking my own diet with removing beef, removing pork, and filling my plate with more fruits and vegetables with a little bit of protein and going with the eggs and the chicken and the turkey, even though I know you need to get that away. But working with smoothies in the morning. I have my green celery juice today. So it's like it's unpacking that American diet in baby steps. And I think that would be something that I got out of your book about. There's just all these different ways that it's every little choice adds up. Every little drop adds some goodness to it. And tell us more about that.
Yeah, and it is okay if what you can do today is just getting rid of red meat and pork and just stick to whatever else you absolutely love. And that reduce and replace is exactly what I talk about all the time. Reduce whatever you feel is not really right for you as you educate yourself and learn new ways, and replace, because we don't like voids. Humans hate spaces. We can't deal with it.
No.
So reduce and replace with something that you're going to love. Colors, you eat the rainbow. Color is critical. So start with what you know and love. So if what you love is bananas and potatoes, that's amazing. Try that. Let's do that for a few days. As you start learning, I love journaling. I tell my clients all the time, talk about in your journal, how do you feel after you eat that particular meal, that particular ingredient, 10 minutes after your meal, 20 minutes after the meal, 2 hours after. Right. Your body is constantly talking to you, telling you when you're gassy, when you're sad, when you're constipated. That is a conversation your body is having with you.
It's like, hello, I don't like that. Oh, but you're going to ignore me. Okay.
Even hunger is a conversation. It's your body telling you, I might be in need of certain nutrients that you're not providing. And you might not be an expert, and it's okay. You don't have to be an expert on nutrition. You just need to learn to become an expert in you. And only you can learn what will work from you slowly but steadily if you start listening to the cues that your body's giving you.
Well, are you hungry or are you thirsty? Right?
Yeah.
Did you drink Diet Coke or Mountain Dew, or did you have a great glass of water? Right? I mean, so I think there's so much that you can do with. No offense, Patrick. Patrick, our engineer, is like cracking over a Mountain Dew. I was just giving a little ooh to Patrick right now. But right, it's okay. I'm sorry, I'm rambling. Oh my gosh, I get so excited about this stuff.
Well, and I think what you just said, Jovanaka, might be the most important thing for people to hear. If they hear nothing else, but they really got when you said, become an expert on yourself. You don't need to be a PhD in nutrition. You don't need to, understand the, billions of bacteria or millions of bacteria in your gut or the microbiome and all that. But be an expert in yourself. Get to know yourself and see. I think we can all, I think it's probably ingrained in our survival to have a consciousness of what feels good and what feels bad. And I think we get hooked on these fake feelings of good, like eating a candy bar feels good for 5 minutes, but check in with yourself a half an hour later, right? And so I think that's what's so important about your recent book. I highly, highly, highly encourage everyone to go out and get it. This book is simply put all of these practices and principles in a very, not to be corny, but digestible way. I love it. I'm a big fan. So tell people about what it's like to work with you. How do they get connected with you? What types of services do you offer and opportunities?
Yeah, these kinds of conversations I have with clients on a daily basis. I offer coaching on a one-on-one basis, group classes. I go to companies and educational organizations to teach about all kinds of different topics related to health and wellness. People can find me on my website and on social media. I'm pretty much everywhere. These days, I'm a little slow to respond because I'm a little busy, but I will respond to you. And happy to help people. This is my life's work. And to the point that you just mentioned, Patrick, it's critical that we all learn to care for ourselves before we go out in the world and care for that proverbial putting the mask on first, especially because women, and I think men struggle with this too, but women struggle so much more with this idea that I will feel great if I have a flat stomach or if I look like that person on social media. And nothing could be further from the truth. And we just go out in the world like talking our bellies in and barely breathing and coming back home feeling incredibly miserable.
Right.
Because we've been uncomfortable all day. And so part of the work that I do is helping people, especially women, get in touch with their bodies and learn how to use foods and wellness practices to their advantage.
That's so powerful. But by the way, that's what stretchy pants are for. So you can be comfortable all day.
and jumpsuits, by the way. Onesies are my go-to.
Oh
so
my goodness.
it really sounds like the fundamental purpose of what you do is to help people get to know their bodies better, number one, and then to actually help them implement the right foods, the right habits that best serve them. Like, I'm not hearing from you that there's some kind of cookie cutter approach that just works for everybody, right? It's really
because there isn't. It's impossible,
isn't.
Right? There's 8 billion of us and there's 8 billion universe in the world. What I do incorporate regularly is plants because I love the fact that they are relatively easy to use, relatively inexpensive, and they tend to have an action that causes people to react positively to them. So if you are a little gassy or a little bloated on a regular basis, and I recommend some fennel ginger tea and you feel better, it's easier for you to then become more accustomed to the idea of changing certain habits that have been with you for many years and you've had a hard time getting rid of them.
Well, and that's so important for people to understand psychologically, that habit loop. If you don't get that positive affirmation, oh, that worked, I think you probably would agree that that's some of the most important work you do.
Absolutely.
And speaking of important work, we are about to wrap up. This has been so informational.
Speaking of important work.
Lovely. What would you like to leave our audience with if you had just a few words to share?
I would say, remember that when you honor your body with new lifestyle habits, you're not only honoring the people that came before you that struggled to get you to where you are today. You're honoring your amazing machine that we call a body, but hopefully you'll be honoring those people that come after you. So you'll leave a beautiful legacy for them as well.
Jovanaka Ciares, Reclaiming Wellness, out now. Get it on Amazon, your local bookstore, her website. Oh my gosh, you guys, so much time. We could be just going on and on and on and on. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Being Curious with Kelly and Brian. It's an honor. Hey guys, it's Kelly. I'm back. Brian's tripping the wild fantastic somewhere in the world. So I put out an APB and we have the beautiful and amazing and powerful and what other beautiful, powerful adjective do we want to put regarding Elizabeth Sullivan? Elizabeth is here in studio today. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Kelly. I'm super thrilled to be here.
We've got a good one today, but I think I say that a lot, but there's just serendipities and synergies all around as we were doing our pre-interview. And I'm just really excited to bring JD Slajchert to the community. And by the way, I said his name right, everybody, who is like, there's like a tally going on betting if Kelly's going to say the last name right.
It's true.
It is. It's kind of funny and it's endearing because I'll say it right pre-interview and then I'll totally screw it up on air. So it's like, yay! Want to put a little call out to the Facebook Live people watching us on behalf of JD, Elizabeth, and myself. Thank you so much for watching us live as we're taping. And here we go. JD is an American novelist, speaker, and philanthropist. Say that 10 times fast. The former University of California, Santa Barbara basketball star debuts his second novel, Darling, You're Not Alone, in the fall of 2022. His journey to published author began innocently as a letter exchange with a friend, which eventually became the backbone to his debut novel, Moonflower, in 2018. Moonflower is inspired by his biggest fan as an athlete, young Luke Bodden. Did I say that one right? Yes,
did, yeah.
2 for 2. Who suffered subsequently succumbed to sickle cell anemia. Wow. You know what? There's so much going on with guides and stuff in here today. It's like this is going to be an interesting show to like visually and audibly get through. Yep. He's a published novelist titling joining the choir Invisible last year. My gosh, man, you are like a busy guy. You have so much going on. I'm so excited to jump into this. Welcome to our show.
Kelly, Elizabeth, thank you so much for having me. This is such a pleasure. Something I've been looking forward to for some time, and you guys have a wonderful show, so thank you for having me.
Beautiful. Elizabeth, you know what, lady? The stage is yours today. I am just excited to be a part of this journey. I want to let everyone know, darling, you're not alone. I normally have a hard copy in studio, but we're just going to have this today. Ooh, 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 ooh. Rock on. Okay, let's rock.
So right before this, we were all talking about the joy of a hard copy in your hands, and we cannot wait for this book to come out on November 3rd of 2022. It's debuting in 2 weeks, so people get ready. But JD, why don't you start with sharing what you're curious about? Like what brings you to the show, and what are some of the things you're curious about that inform your writing or inform your life?
Yeah, great question and a great place to start. I mean, I often say that a big part of my writing is just my sort of, I guess, call it fascination with these little things about life. When I was growing up, I kind of had these like mementos that lived on my desk, and these certain small things that I would sort of grab hold of and put this like, kind of body and life form into, even the most inanimate objects, like the little stamper that lived on my desk or my favorite pen. And that's sort of who I've always been, even before I was a writer. And I think that superstition carried me a lot through my athletic career as an athlete in basketball. Wearing like the same pair of socks every game. And
what was your number?
Yeah, I was number 43.
Nice.
43, so 7.
7, that's a power number.
Yeah, that is, I love it. And everything has consciousness, right? Like, I was just picking up some things in our house, and my boys have these, like, little, they're older now, but they have these, like, little ninjas and, like, trinkets and stuff that they would.
Oh, yeah, I still have all the same ones that I had through my playing career, and I have they have, like, a real significant meaning to me, and everywhere I go to write, I bring them with me and kind of have them on my desk. But to answer your question, what am I curious about? I'm curious about interpersonal relationships between people, but not in the way that everyone thinks about it. I'm not interested, or I am still interested, but not as much so. I'm not talking about your boyfriend or your girlfriend or your mom or your dad. I'm really interested in the person who you buy your milk from once a week, or the person who fills your gas at the gas station, or someone who you have what is deemed as like an insignificant interaction with. I personally and believe in wholeheartedly, those are some of the most meaningful and impactful experiences you can have, in that this is someone you're directly, sharing a moment in time with. And any moment we're given in time, we're very lucky to have. And that's a big part of what my book's about, is just sort of these people that we meet at, maybe in the moment we don't realize it, but down the road, like, that smile that person gave me when they were giving me my coffee this morning actually meant something to me. And maybe tomorrow I'm going to give them with something more, and what that ripple effect can do to a community. Like, that goes on and on and on. And it started with you just doing one nice thing. And I'm very curious currently about that.
Here's his dedication. Like, it's a little emotional, but it's beautiful. For Jeanette Mallory, right?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm sorry, I get so excited. Okay, for Jeanette. I'll never forget being that teeny redhead reaching for your hand, walking out of our old sliding door and stargazing. Mom, this book is for you.
Wow.
I love it. I was like, oh gosh, I have to read this book. This is amazing. I love your writing style, by the way. Just really fluid. I love when I can get into a book and just kind of visualize, even without the audiobook, of hearing your voice. Like, when I heard your voice today, I was like, yep, that's the voice that I thought I was going to hear. Like, right? And it's just, I'm just excited to just get into this comfy place and just experience your story. And again, I'm waiting for the hard copy. It's going to be amazing.
Right.
It's just
I
fantastic.
wish I could give you this one through the screen.
I know
I
you
know.
got it. Like, we'll virtually just grab it. Yeah, it's fine. But just going through it and previewing it, and just how everything was packaged is with absolute love. And I'm just so excited.
Totally, me too. And speaking of that, is if you wouldn't mind reading us, like maybe just giving us a little bit of a frame for what the story's about.
A little amoosh boosh.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, the dedication to my mom, Kelly, to kind of speak on that is like, that was such a cool thing, and like, I mean, my mom is my biggest fan. She's like, wants to talk and me to call her after every interview and say, hey, how did it go? Give me the details, A to Z. And she's actually turning 60 this year, right around when the book's being released.
Okay, let's wish her happy birthday. Let's do a call out to your mom. So what little message do you want to give so you can share with your mom instantly on Facebook or on this video? What's something that you want to say to your mom?
Oh, tell her that, her support means everything. Like, I would be nothing without her. And, she's my motivation to keep going. And, I owe the world to her. So this was just like a little, a little giving back I thought I could do, but it's not, in the grand scheme, I owe her even more. I wish I could dedicate everything I do to her.
Well, Jeanette, happy birthday. And we are honored to have your son on our show.
Definitely.
So, yeah, and I'd love to read a bit about the book.
Give us a...
for sure, and just a bit of context is the book is about a 15-year-old boy named Phoenix Ivor who has, suffers from anxiety and depression. And the book is set in the year 1999 when Phoenix is going to high school, his first year at Darling High School as a freshman. And the beginning of the novel is set in this sort of situation where, he's kind of going through like the normal happenings of the high school experience and like the highs and lows of that. And this is the day of the snowball, which is like the annual school dance. And this is the morning of that event. So I'm going to, this chapter is chapter 10. I'm going to read a small portion from, and it's actually broken down minute by minute. And I'll talk about why that is after. So this is chapter 10 of Darling, You're Not Alone. And the chapter begins with, like I said, this timestamp of the day of the snowball. So it says 7:44 a.m., the day of the snowball. The flowers were dead. What were once vibrant, soft blue petals were now shriveled gray skin, wrinkled flesh popping off the stem like wind carrying the ashes of a lost loved one far, far away. Every morning I turn over in my bed to see them warmly check on me from my cracked windowsill. At first they stood young and stiff, proudly like stout young soldiers being sent off to war. Waving their caps, they smiled at me. But as time went on, they began slumping inward, losing their muscle and lumen. They slowly began to disintegrate, frowning at me. Now returning overseas, hardly more than skin and bone, famished, pale, lost. Unraveling until there would be nothing left. Their smell had grown rotten as I'd watched them fall into nothing. We're running late. I pulled the blanket over my eyes. I'm tired. My mom took another step into my room and dropped her shoulders. I can't miss my interview this morning. You know we need this. Up. As I let my eyes creep out of the top of my covers, I could see that she'd opened the blind over my windowsill. Nothing about the day looked sunny. A deep fog cloaked the morning sky. Come on, up, Phoenix. Breakfast for you downstairs. She walked out of my room and shut the door. Moisture had begun to populate the top of my bare window. I got up and slid it open. The gust pushed in and the vapor patted my face. My cheeks, nose, neck, and ears at once got colder. My skin prickled in sharp goosebumps. I grabbed the dead flowers. They were meek between my fingers. The petals were carried by the fog like ashes. The poignant smell of death woke me once more. I tossed them out the window without waiting to watch them hit the ground.
Wow.
Okay, we're done. That is so powerful. So, out of all of the excerpts, that's the one you chose to read on air today. Tell us why.
I think, again, to speak towards these like insignificant, small, minor moments of life, that when we're in them, it doesn't really seem like they're that important or significant. Yet, like when we look back and reflect on like the days of our lives, sometimes they're the thing we remember the most. And that day and that moment for Phoenix is so important to the book for many different reasons. And I wanted to read that excerpt to sort of plant you right into the middle of this book where you realize, like, I'm not really sure what's coming and I'm not sure if I'm going to like it, but I do need to feel this and experience this and be with this character. And it's a very intimate moment between a mother and son. And I think it's a really powerful way to introduce anybody who's listening and watching this episode to get an idea of the story.
Well, it's interesting. My next question that I was going to ask is, what are the lessons and themes you want people to take away? So you've already answered that. Is there anything that you want to add on top of that? Because it's just, I really feel like you just dropped us in the middle of this beautiful story, this beautiful experience, and I'm sure people are extremely curious. So what else would you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think more simply, Kelly, that, you know, the idea for this book and kind of where it was built off of and, you know, everything sort of snowballed into was this idea that I believe that if really bad things happen, and it's no secret that there's a school shooting in my book, that so must really amazing, beautiful things happen that I think balance out our world. And I wrote a story that contains what I think is the worst possible part side of humanity, that is, you know, a school shooting, and took what I thought could be the most hopeful, warm side of what we as people can do. And this book is meant to sort of equally hold both of these things in a way that I think can hopefully also inspire a lot of people. But it's also not just gun violence as it pertains to school shootings. I mean, the book is about how, you know, someone loses their mom to cancer, or someone else has, you know, a terrible car accident. And these are all things that unfortunately are a part of life. And we go through trauma and we go through heartache, and that is just a part of the human experience, whether we like it or not. But my belief is that these terrible things, and you can kind of substitute whatever the terrible thing is for you or for someone you know, there's this really beautiful side of life too that makes it all worth it in the end. And that theme, I think, is a really powerful one, and something that's worth sharing and spending, like, you know, 3+ years of writing this book to achieve and try to give to people in the form of a novel and talk about with you guys.
You do such a beautiful job in what you just read, too, and bringing us into that moment that every teen, every human has between choosing to rise up, choosing to awaken, choosing to take notice, even when anxiety and depression and the horrific can happen. And you do it so poignantly in how you, like, when someone is going through anxiety or depression or surviving the trauma or the horrific, it's almost like you can focus in, you know, you zoom in on one thing and you don't necessarily see the whole, but the whole represents, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So how does, you know, as your journey of writing and bringing Phoenix alive to the reader and through and over such traumatizing events, what inspired you to, like, move in this direction?
Yeah, well, I mean, let me just say first, I love Phoenix so much, man. I love that kid. I've spent so much time with him, and I really don't honestly feel like I have much in common with him. Like, we live very different lives, but man, do I miss hanging out with him every day and writing this book again. I feel like, you know, he's like one of my best friends. But so first of all, I hope you all love Phoenix when you get to meet him out there listening. But I think what sort of inspired me to create this character and this story and unfold it in this way was just this idea that I think there's a lot of Phoenixes out there. I think there's a lot of people that are feeling maybe a little bit lost, maybe a little bit lacking in inspiration, and maybe a little bit, you know, like the world is not such a bright place. And I mean, one of the quotes I start the book with is, how do you believe in the light when all you've seen, known, and felt is the dark? And that sort of idea is, again, something that I wanted to carry through this story in a way that could show people that maybe are feeling very, kind of gloomy about what they've gone through, that there is light out there. And that was sort of an idea behind giving Phoenix the characteristics he has.
So you've started the You Are Not Alone letter writing campaign. Again, you're just teeing me up for my questions today. It's so beautiful. I wish we had more time together. We share a little common passion, which we'll talk about in a moment. But tell us about the You're Not Alone letter writing campaign.
Yeah, the You're Not Alone letter writing campaign is something that I hoped would take the fiction of Darling, You're Not Alone into the real world, which I think as any author that's their dream, right? Is to like make an impact with a fictional story that goes into the actual lives of everyday breathing people. But a big part of the book is also this letter writing that takes place. And one of the things I wanted to inspire people that read the book is say, hey, after you've completed this story, go ahead and write a letter. And I challenge you to write a letter to your best friend, your sister, your neighbor, someone who you feel like could use a little hope and inspiration in their lives, much like Phoenix did, and make the change you want in the world. Like, don't wait for somebody else to tell you to do something. Just go ahead and do it. And all I ask is that they start the letter with the sentence, "You're not alone," and then take it from there. And this is something that I'm going to participate in too. And more information on it is available at darlingyou'renotalone.com, where you can upload your own letter and I can read it and I can interact too. So I hope it's like a cool movement we can start.
Absolutely. And the edge is behind you on every single way, shape, or form. When I was in high school, I was in a marketing class and I was told to always write handwritten letters. And I forget the teacher's name. I forget why, but no matter what's happened in my life, I always find a handwritten letter. And when we started The Edge and we started it on a shoestring, the first thing I did was make sure that I had Edge branded Post-it or notes so I could handwrite letters to people. And it is something I'm so passionate about. I have ceremony with it. And I love how you keep it simple. Even if it's just, I'm thinking of you, or you're not alone, or thank you. And what's lovely is I've gone through the years, 2 clients, 2 friends, 2 acquaintances, and I'll catch in their office or I'll catch in their space my note. Sitting there, and right, and you just you just light up. You're like, you write it and you send it off and you stamp it, and then you're like, you just like push it off into the world. And then when you have a moment where it comes back, you're just like, it fills you up, even though it's like this double filling up the cup. Not only did you do it for them, but right. So well,
it's also meditative, like for your own sake. Like I feel like it's an experience to it's like a hug. I mean, it's something that we got to do more of and get back to. And as technology gets, everly more complicated, it's easier to forget how powerful a handwritten note is. But yeah, I mean, Kelly, we are on the same page.
And I adore that handwritten. And I also love that you encourage people to actually pick a stamp. I love picking beautiful stamps like that. Kind of finishes it. So
the Shel Silverstein ones are out of the post office right now, and I'm so bummed because I love The Giving Tree. It's like my favorite book ever, and I have been like getting mad at the post office. I mail out a lot of magazines, and I'm so bummed. I don't want the flag. I want hearts.
I have Snowy Day I bought like in a mass last year.
Oh my goodness! Well,
that children's story.
We have 2 minutes left, and I know there's a message that you want to send off to anybody listening to this, because it's just beautiful. Before we promote your email address and your website and your book again, please take a minute to just speak directly to the audience.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is super important. And if you only hear this from me today, I think this is the most important thing I can say is just that to any of you out there listening and hearing this show right now, that you're not alone either. And there is a lot of trauma out there, and I do realize that. And I think that a big part of why I wrote this book is to hopefully give some light into a world that can seem very dark. But my message would be very simple, in addition to You're Not Alone, I would say you're not alone, and there are others out there who have also been through maybe similar traumas that you have. So keep going, keep being the light for them, and I promise that it will always get better. And if there's anything I can ever do, please find me, read the book, write a letter, do something to make your neighbor smile, because no matter how small, nothing we do is insignificant.
JD, how do people find you?
So you can, well, I live in Los Angeles,
we're not going to stalk you, I promise.
You can find me a lot of information about me on my website, jdwritesbooks.com. You can also find me on Instagram at jd_Slajchert, and the same for Twitter, jd_Slajchert. And also, if you're really interested in the book and more specifically, please visit darlingyou'renotalone.com, where there's a ton of information and behind the scenes stuff about the book, and also more about this letter writing. And yeah, find me, reach out. I'm always looking to interact and hopefully spread some positivity. So
this was fantastic. I think we're gonna have to let's just book you again. Like let's just do that. We'll get in.
I love the Edge magazine.
Come on back.
I promise I'll be back.
Thank you for inspiring us all to rise and stay bright.
On behalf of Kelly and JD and Elizabeth and Brian, being curious, thank you very much. AM 950. See you soon.